So hello everybody. We'll start the IB review with an overview of the exam. Um, this one is focused mainly on the external assessment, otherwise known as the IB exam. This I will not be talking about the internal assessment, since most of you already hopefully went through that already. This one focuses mainly on the external assessment. So, external assessment consists of 3 papers. All right, this you probably already know. Why is it so selective? There we go. Okay, 3 papers. Paper 1, paper 1A, 1B, and paper 2. Paper 1A, I will go over a little bit each detail in a little bit. All right, the total exam time is 4 hours and 30 minutes. Okay, as we take a look at the breakdown, the first paper, okay, have total 60 marks, both papers combined. Paper 2 have total 90 marks. You add them up, that's 150. Okay, 150. If you take 4 hours 30 minutes, okay, that's about I'm having a hard time doing this. 4 times 60 is 240, 270. Okay, 270 minutes for 150 marks. Okay. So make sure, so you'll notice that's about 270 for 150. That's just about just under 2 minutes per mark, about the time you should be spending. So that's the pacing you're expected working at. All right. So once a good tip is always time your homework, time your practice, time review. When you're doing practice, just see how long you spend on each question. Not saying you should rush, but you have an idea which questions you're fast at, which type of question you're not so good at, topics specifically. That will help you pace your exam throughout. Internal assessment 10 hours, that should already be done. At this point, if you're doing your internal assessment after external assessment, there is a big problem. Okay, you should talk to your teacher right away. So, paper 1, 2 hours long, 60 marks. So that's about 2 minutes per mark. 2 minutes per mark. All right. You'll do them at the same time. Okay. You do not get one after the other one. You get both at the same time, and you will get 2 booklets. Okay, so it's 2 separate booklets, and you will be doing them at the same time. You are allowed to go between. You're not saying I have to do paper 1A first, then 1B, or you have to do 1B first. This is very similar to the unit exam I usually use, and I think most teachers does that, which have a written portion and the multiple choice portion. That's very similar. You can go back and forth. There are 2 separate booklets. Okay, so let's go back and forth. All right. The first paper are 40 multiple choice questions, and if you're doing HL like my classes, you have both center level and higher level material. Everything. You have everything. All right. Unlike the AP exam, you're encouraged somewhat even to guess, okay, to make an educated guess. You will not be deducted for incorrect answers. AP exams does punish you for guessing, so it's better to leave it blank, but there's no such thing for the IB exam. You're encouraged to make an educated guess, and I would say you should. You also get a Scantron to fill out a bubble sheet, okay, or we call it Scantron, but bubble sheet, which means you should bring a HB pencil. If you use pens or anything else, it will not work. Okay, make sure you bring an HB pencil, and of course erasers. Okay, erasers, just be careful. You do have to erase carefully and thoroughly. All right. Paper 1, that's for 1A. On the other hand, 1B is entirely, as you can see below, entirely is 1A, 1B are complete together without interruptions. Okay. The use of calculator is permitted, okay, for both papers, but I want to say here, it didn't say on here, but 1B is actually all written. It's your lab skill questions. In the old curriculum, it's actually paper 3, okay, but or first half of paper 3, because I have options on there too. But it's all written. So, which means, since to avoid tampering, you must bring a blue, well, I mean, it could technically be any color, but easy to read, blue or black inked pen. This is avoid tempering, just in case. Okay, just in case. Also for smearing, make it difficult to read. Okay, so make sure you use a blue and black pen. You will not be marked unless it's written in a pen. The only exceptions are, for example, you have to draw a line of best fit on your graph database, right? So except for graphs, except graph or diagrams, if you need to draw FBD. Okay, that's the only thing I can think of. I think basically the only exceptions are graphs or diagrams. Okay, you're allowed to use a pencil. With that being said, okay, IB exam is not going to be as strict as me, and unlike perhaps your teacher too, you do not have to draw them to scale unless the question specifies. Okay, over the years when I teach, for like grade 11, the first year I tend to be very strict with drawing good diagrams. Second year, the grade 12, I tend to be a little bit lenient as well. Okay, but I would still recommend bring a ruler and protractor, okay, because that might help you solve some question really quickly, especially for 1A if you have to do a really quick algebra, it's a geometry question, right? Or 1B, you just have to estimate, all right? You can quickly get that. So I still recommend, okay, ruler plus protractor. Those are actually tractor. Those actually are allowed. Yeah. Ruler definitely. Protractor may not be that useful given how much time you have, okay, and how the kind of question IB used to act. But however, bring it as in a new curriculum. I do not know what kind of question they will ask exactly, but based on the example I provided you, okay, the mock IB exam, okay, we have we call them specimen. Okay, it's probably still no need for protractors, but why not have it? But ruler will be very helpful, especially for those line of best fits. All right. Unlike the old curriculum, the calculator is permitted. That's a plus, sort of. But the 40 multiple choice questions still have very minimal calculations. Okay, the use calculator is mainly for the purpose of 1B when you have to calculate uncertainty. Okay, when you have to calculate slope, when you have to calculate something from data, and those data they do make it as weird and as random as as reasonably uncertain as they can. So you do have to do those calculations. So calculator won't really help you on paper 1. Okay, won't really help you on paper 1 that much. Okay, plus if you actually have the calculations, the numbers in paper 1A, if indeed they are just as similar as the old paper 1, okay, multiple choices, then those numbers are really simple. If you use a calculator to calculate them, you will actually slow down. So unless you actually need a calculator for the multiple choice portion, 1A, I do not recommend you use a calculator, just mental math it through. However, I understand safety and accuracy is the thing, so just paste that. And of course, you get a clean copy of the data booklet. Okay, so usually the IB coordinator will print them out. Okay, whoever supervising, you will print it out. Also note, unlike unit exams, your teacher supervises you. I am in fact not allowed to supervise my own student. Okay, no physics teacher is allowed to supervise. Okay, once again for collusion purpose, to avoid collusion. So, which means nobody can help you and read the question to you. Or they can read the question to you, but they cannot explain anything to you. So make sure you are prepared and understand all terminologies involved. All right, including command terms and stuff like that. Okay, especially the command terms, so you know how much work you gotta show. All right, that's paper 1. Paper 2 actually gets a little bit easier to explain because paper 2 is actually not only remains unchanged from the previous curriculum for those who have heard from their seniors who have done paper 2, and also it's basically paper 3's format. Okay, paper 3's format, except now it's about content, no longer about lab skills. They may use labs. Okay, you may use experiment to talk about. Okay, if we're gonna give you some data and try to explain those data using the concept you learned in the core content. okay, in core content, but this focus is on core content, so not lab skills. Maybe I should highlight that. Lab skills. Database questions really just means lab skills. So uncertainty, things you would have used for your IA, lab skills. Okay, drawing line of best fit. Okay, and interpreting the slope, maximum lines, error bars. All right, understand difference between accuracy and precision. Right, why certain practices done? There's some I've seen some really weird questions where I might say, like, hold on, never thought about this before. But most of the questions are pretty straightforward. All right. Paper 2, I think, more straightforward in terms of content. It just makes sure you know all your stuff to review. These are all core, which is SL plus additional higher level content. Once again, this is geared towards the higher level audience. But if you're not taking higher level, standard level will be the core content. All right, so additional higher level and core content, basically things you learned in class, beside the lab skills. Once again, lab may be indirectly referenced as a way to set up for a course content skill. So this will go over in detail with a series of formula sheet reviews. Okay, and these are things you could study for, I would say. Okay, maybe paper 1B is not something you can study for because of lab skills. Make sure it's more like you have the skills, you have the general comfort with those skills, like you practice. Okay, you're doing a live report and stuff like that. Okay, while paper 2 is all about studying. Make sure you know the course content. All right, and of course, being the course content, calculus permitted. This is where you get all difficult numbers. Okay, and you got a formula sheet. Just note there are you only get 2 hours and 30 minutes. That is 150 minutes for 90 marks. Okay, I want to do the quick math over there. That's about a minute, 90 marks, right? So about a minute and a bit, 20 some, wait, that doesn't right, 40 some seconds. Okay, 40 some seconds. Okay, so basically about a minute and a half or so. All right, a minute and a half or so of time for each mark. So that means you should absolutely look at how much the mark is worth for each question. Okay, 1 mark, 1 sentence, 2 sentences, sometimes 1 mark. Okay, you read the command terms, right? Let me just say state, just write the answer, like with instinct answer. You don't have to justify it at all. All right, time is very precious on paper 2 because it's very, very fast. Okay, so make sure you pace yourself carefully and really look at the mark each question's worth. If it's worth 1 mark, don't spend too much time on it. If it's worth 3 marks, that's what you want to put your time in. Some questions maybe 4 or 5. That's usually as high as it gets. 4 or 5 marks, that's where you want to spend your time on. 1 mark, 2 mark questions, 1 word, 1 sentence, and no more. Okay, otherwise you will not be able to finish the exam. All right. IB did reflect that the older curriculum the older IB exams in the previous curriculum tends to leave a lot of students like very not quite done. Okay, so they did mention they want to reformat it a little bit so there's a better chance of students completing it with a slightly more time because the old one is 2 hours, not 2 hours 30 minutes. But they may also change the questions so it's a little bit easier to pace. Well, I once again first year testing it as of this video. Your teacher, if this is watching in the future, a teacher can give you a little bit more insight about that. But the key thing is make sure you pace, okay, and not spend too much time on the 1 mark, 2 mark questions, but put time in the more marked questions. All right, and wrapping up, and these are all the content tested. I'm not going to do the chapter review here. That will take forever. But the chapters these are the 4 chapters that's covered in there besides lab skill. Okay, besides lab skill. Okay, I actually maybe I'll briefly review lab skills since this see how long this video is. It's only been a little bit. Okay, I think I'll do a little bit of a lab skill review as well, like a really brief. Okay, but these are the 5 chapters that's being tested. Okay, first one is the space, time, and motion. Okay, you're watching this video. Most likely you are a Alberta, even EPSB school. So basically, this corresponds to physics 20s. Okay, physics 20s, kinematics, dynamics, and physics 30s, momentum. All right, the IB stuff is these 2. Okay, rotational dynamics. Okay, rotational dynamics. Okay, and rigid body mechanics they call it, but it's really rotational motion. All right, and the Galilean and special relativity. Okay, both happen to be AHL as well. So if you're taking standard level, you learn everything here. Okay, we learn everything here. Actually, you learn a little bit more in Alberta curriculum than the IB here if you only in standard level. But IB also covers rigid body mechanics and that. So torque and rotational kinematic stuff. Okay, and I think rotational slipping. Number 2, this is almost entirely IB. So it's all IB. Okay, it's all IB. This is not covered in any Alberta physics curriculum. Okay, except maybe greenhouse effect and thermal energy transfer may be covered in Science 10 a little bit. Okay, gas laws is in chemistry. Okay, but not in physics. This is all IB considered. Unit C. Okay, it's about waves. This is actually entirely covered in the regular physics Alberta curriculum as well. You go to physics 20s, unit D, right? Waves, simple harmonic motion, and physics 30s, EMR, the light unit, electromagnetic radiation, electromagnetic waves unit. It covers everything. Okay, there may be a few formulas here and there not covered, but mainly in simple harmonic motion. But the concept is completely covered if it's 20 and 30. So that might be helpful because it's not separate from the main content. Unit D about fields. Is also mainly covered in physics 20 and 30. Physics 20, of course, is usually for the gravity lessons. Okay, and physics 30, of course, is electricity lessons. Unit B. Both are unit B actually. Okay, unit B of physics 20 will be physics 30. Okay, electricity and gravity. Okay, for IB stuff though, induction, yes. In regular, we do learn about Faraday's law and Lenz's law qualitatively, but there are some formulas. Okay, in IB that is needed. So I'll put a star beside it because most of the concept is still learned in regular, but some formulas is not, like loops in magnetic fields. Okay, and of course there is also electric potential and gravitational potential. Yes, you learn about voltage. Okay, you learn about voltage. But we go a little bit deeper into that. Okay, go a little bit into that in IB. So you do learn the basic, like the more theoretical aspect. Okay, the idea of a potential, with potential difference in regular non-IB physics, but IB physics does go a little bit deeper into actually calculating it, including gravitational potential energy in space and similarly electric potential energy in space. We'll go over the formula in a future video. Last but not least is nuclear and quantum physics. This is covered entirely in physics 30, almost entirely in physics 30. They does go into a little bit more into radioactive decay. Specifically, they use a different. They usually use a different decay formula. It also goes deeper into Bohr model and de Broglie's model. And de Broglie actually examine the postulate made by Bohr and de Broglie and how they actually relate to waves. Relate to waves. All right. So the driving of those, and of course, they also talk about. They also squeezed in stellar evolution here, stellar evolution here. About stars because it's tied to nuclear fusion. So that's actually pretty clever. Okay, so that is what's covered in IB. So basically, studying for an IB exam, sort of also studying for your provincial diploma exam a little bit as well. Though there's some time lapse, so my recommendation is don't stop studying after IB exam. Take a little break, but you still need to go back study the non-IB stuff again. Anyhow, I digress. So there is the overview for the IB exam. There's the overview for the IB exam. All right, it's 22 minutes in. I was trying to keep this video under 30 minutes. So I will. I still want to do a really quick review about uncertainty. So I will just summarize it really quickly here. All right. I said also something I learned about some IB documents. Okay, so uncertainty review really quick. I'll keep it short. Pen. Uncertainty. All right. So remember, uncertainty. There are two kinds. There is the absolute uncertainty. 0.01. Let's say 2.45 plus 0.01 meters. This is the absolute. Sometimes I just call certainty or error. And we have the absolute. I don't know what this one will be. I don't know what the absolute value exists, but it's like 0.0, like 0.5, so like 0.5%. 0.5. No, it's 0.5%. This is the meters. This is the relative uncertainty or percentage uncertainty. Both measures errors. All right. Usually, when we have some data recorded, we have certain values. Our last digit is uncertain. This is our measurement. Okay, this is our measurement. All right, this is our measurement. So we usually indicate how much uncertainty we have for that digit in the form of a uncertainty. This is how much. That's our precision. It's the precision. All right. Relative uncertainty, of course, can be calculated. Just the relative uncertainty can be just calculated as 0.01 over 2.45. Once again, I don't think it's 0.5, but I just estimated quickly. All right. Usually, uncertainty is 1 sig-digs. Percentage uncertainty, I do not see any specific requirement for IB. Okay, for IB. So probably 1 or 2 will be okay. But for absolute, usually it's 1. However, recently I read some IB document as well. For calculation for error propagation, if you end up with 2, they also allow it. Okay. Generally stick with 1 still. Unless otherwise specified. Okay, but if you end up with 2 sig-digs, or it's not 2 sig-digs, like 3 sig-digs, right? And then your uncertainty ends up being like 2. Normally, at least from my experience, you're supposed to round it to 1 sig-dig, but IB actually lets you keep 2. So if you end up with 1 or 2 sig-digs, it's okay. Once again, though, stick with 1, okay, as a rule of thumb. But IB seems to be okay with 2. Okay with 2 if your sig-dig rules work out that way. Error propagation, I'll keep it really short as well. If you're adding, your uncertainty adds up. Oh, have to use IB notation. So x equal to a plus b, so delta x. If x is equal to the product, then the uncertainty of x is going to equal to the you add out the relative uncertainty and then multiply by the value. So delta a over a plus delta b over b. Power, same idea because it's repeated. Power is repeated multiplication. So x to the n, x equal to a to the n, then delta x is equal to n times delta a over a times x. I should put X in front. Okay, these are the standard propagation rules. Okay, standard propagation rules. And you can, of course, graph your uncertainty on a graph in the form of error bars. So usually the ones you will see on IB exams tends to be verticals only. Okay, and the verticals only, I'll save you some time. So if you draw a line of best fit, your line of best fit should fit inside your inside your data and your error bars, and then you can draw your maximum line of best fit and minimum line of best fit. And you can have your slope is equal to max plus min divided by 2. Okay. And I think the one thing I may have missed, the average, you can use the greater the residual. All right. That should wrap up the review for the, oh, that was pretty fast. Well, I write it out. So you have a bunch of data, x1, x2, x like n data point, then mean, uncertainty for the mean is equal to the maximum of largest minus mean over smallest minus mean. This is called the greatest residual. All right, that's certainty. Okay, very useful for paper 1B. Very useful for paper 1B. All right, so that is a quick review, okay, overview for the IB exam, and a bonus, a super quick review for uncertainty. All right. All right, thanks for watching.